Now, everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
I mean, you know what it is. It's the deal, man. I love to get small. Got inside a vacuum cleaner. And the drug wore off. I retained the shape of a vacuum cleaner for about 2 weeks. It's wild to get small.
Welcome to Everything Old is New Again. This is Douglas Viviani with the rather diminutive David Cohen.
I resent that remark.
You resent it or resemble it? Which one? Why do I say diminutive? What's that standing for? What am I talking about?
Because we're going to do a show on little things.
Exactly. With the rise of Ant-Man in 2 movies this year alone. Ant-Man. There has been a long history of movies and television which focus on the resizing of people. From Alice in Wonderland to Gulliver's Travels to Tinkerbell to, if you remember this TV show, Land of the Giants. There's been a fascination with all things small. So this week, we will put out the magnifying glass. We're going to pull it out and examine the odd, quirky phenomenon to see what is the big deal. Anyway.
No pun intended.
No, yes, pun intended. I don't know if it works, but... Yeah. I did my best. Before we do, I want to take a look at a development that Everything Old is New Again has had, and we are now being broadcast in a terrific area of the country in Forest City, Arkansas, which also reaches into Memphis, Tennessee on KXJK, Hometown Radio AM 950, the home of the morning show. Very excited to be there. In fact, I know that a resident of Forest City, Arkansas, Don Kessinger, remember him?
Why does it sound familiar?
A great second baseman for the Chicago Cubs in the 60s and 70s.
Wow, that's right. I still have his baseball card, actually.
Yeah, he was great. You know, with those little guys, that hit the singles, batted second, and set the plate for Ron Santo and all those guys. What a great setup there. So we're enjoying being there. What do you?
Did you say it also reaches Memphis? Right?
It does.
I love Memphis. Best ribs in the world. What can you say? Graceland, Elvis, the blues, jazz. It's a great town.
I love it.
Great town.
Yeah.
Right in the Mississippi.
It's so great to be
really
be
excited about
this
that
area. Yeah. Absolutely. So that's KXJK 950 AM in Forest City, reaching out to even to Memphis, Tennessee, and the surrounding areas. It's so great to be there. Thank you for joining the Everything Old is New Again network. Now let's roll up our sleeves and take a look at the fascination of all things small. Started that I could see in Alice in Wonderland in 1865. Lewis Carroll. By the way, you know that story. Alice gets big and she gets small, right?
Yes, I know the Alice in Wonderland. Right. Yes.
And but did you know? I kind of like these books now.
Can you read it to me?
I can't read it because the original hardcover, if you were to buy it right now, how much do you think it would cost? The original hardcover from 1865.
$40?
$7,500.
Wow. I can get it on my Kindle for $10.
Exactly. That's how valuable that story is.
That's amazing.
And there was a fascination with all things small. There's also Peter Pan, of course, with J.M. Barrie. There's from 1904. Tinkerbell is a central character, a very small character.
Yes.
And they're still releasing movies to this day. So the question is, what's it all about? Why? How did we use this? Let's take a look at 1936's Lionel Barrymore in Devil Doll.
It was admitted that Paul Levon, former bank president, convicted of looting his own bank and killing a watchman, escaped from prison 4 months ago.
Whatever you are, in God's name, listen and have mercy. I'll confess.
Yeah.
So were they really? How did they do it in 1936? Did they actually make someone look small?
Yes.
How did they do it?
Yes, I don't know how they exactly did it. They put them in a room and put like big things around. They never put them in the same scene as anybody. They were by themselves in a room with big things around them, big props. This was cool. It was used for justice. The person that learned the secret of shrinking people he escaped from prison, Lionel Barrymore, and he used this on the 3 people that framed him, and the first 2 people he made really small, and then the third person he threatened to do that, and that's who you heard in that clip. I'll confess, I'll tell what's going on.
So I guess he heard from the first 2 that being small wasn't that great.
It's not such a great idea. You better confess. I mean, that's the whole. The whole get small thing for justice, I think, is funny. And that's what was done originally. Then it was used for horror in 1940 for horror. Dr. Cyclops.
To them, a crocodile becomes as huge as a prehistoric monster. A terrifying black cat whose jaws mean death.
What are you going to do?
As you and your fellows develop toward normal size, you will again interfere with my work. And that is something which I cannot permit.
The horror.
So what was that about?
It was Dr. Cyclops.
So it's a guy with one eye.
He's a doctor that found, of course, another one that found the secret of shrinking people. And if you wanted to leave his employ, or this is stories about a girlfriend that no longer wanted to be his girlfriend or his lab assistant, he would shrink you down and keep you as a pet.
I just sneezed out a little person. That's
By the
so
way,
weird. Look at him go. Hey!
We are on the radio, though, so I don't think you can see that, but that was very, yeah.
So the fact that he was a Cyclops, what did that have to do with the little people?
The thing was he had bad vision, so originally what he did was he invited some people over to look through a magnifying glass to help him with solve this problem of the scientific aspect of shrinking people. Once they did that for him, because he had bad vision, he had to use this magnifying glass, they wanted to leave, and he wouldn't let them leave, so he shrunk them all.
Okay.
And then they came.
But he had one eye? He was a Cyclops?
It's only because he couldn't see, use the magnifying glass, that's all.
All right, what else you got?
I got David Hedison. Remember David Hedison?
No.
From Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Vincent Price. You know Vincent Price?
Oh, sure, Vincent Price, yeah.
This is the end of the original movie, The Fly, 1958. You remember what happened?
Yeah, sure.
It was a transporter effect, and the head and an arm and a leg of David Hennessy ended up on a fly. The fly got into the transporter and combined them both together. Yes. This now is a scene where the fly, which is the head of David Hennessy, on it in a spider web at the end of the movie. Horrifying. Is as big as a spider. I mean, it sounds horrifying. You got to see this movie. And the end of it, I'm going to ruin it for you. He's David Hennessy, who is part now Fly. Of course, there was the other part where there was a big, huge human being that was walking around with a fly head. Right? Because they both changed parts.
So that's different than The Fly, the remake with Jeff Goldblum.
Correct.
It was a little different.
A little different. This was so cool because the end, rather than allow this little fly with the head of the human on it to be eaten by the incoming spider, the lab assistant to Vincent Price saw this happening, picked up a boulder and threw it on the whole mix and killed him.
Put him out of his misery.
So it's horrifying. It was
kind of hoping that'll happen to me in a second.
Has been used for horrifying effect over and over again. This business of getting small, let's get small. I think we're going to see that develop into something even more fun shortly. So I just want to ask you, are you a fan of this genre? Have you seen any of these movies? Do you care about any of the getting small business, including Ant-Man?
Yeah, I am. I think that, think about this. Let me just throw this out. If we could shrink everyone, we could sustain this planet for millions of years. Because think about it, you'd eat less food, you'd use less natural resources.
But we'd have to rebuild everything all over again.
Well, you just shrink us down a little, like maybe half the size, and you'd still be able to save this planet.
You'll see some of the theory is that you're still the same exact person, just a little bit smaller.
But you're going to eat less, you're going to consume less, your houses will be smaller, you won't be,
It's possible.
So I'm thinking bigger picture, Doc.
I'm thinking that I'm going to horrify you with this next clip, and we'll be right back on Everything Old is New Again.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show, with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
How would you like to be a living doll? This madman can do with as he pleases.
He said tonight he was going to kill us all.
Feel the fantastic fear of living in a normal world, but being dwarfed by people many times your size.
Welcome back to Everything Old is New Again. That's an ad for the Attack of the Puppet People, 1958. We're taking a look at resizing and talking about getting small. That was your idea, no? To resize some people and keep them as your own personal entertainment?
Yeah, like resizing celebrities, rock bands, and just like having Jerry Seinfeld as your little personal comedian. You know, you have to feed him and everything. And
don't you think he would lose his sense of humor, though, if he was the size of a,
Well, it's either that or I smash him. So I think he'd get funny pretty fast.
That's pretty much the story for the Attack of the Puppet People. This section, I want to take a look at what I think is the father of the modern resizing tale. Gentleman's name is Richard Matheson. Have we heard him before? Let's just look first at him in this genre. He wrote The Incredible Shrinking Man, which is a movie in 1957, which we'll hear about shortly. That was the Puppet People we just heard a section of. The Shrinking Man was so successful, the Puppet People was a clear takeoff on that. He was a major contributor to this genre, but before that, we saw him as what? Do you remember this?
No.
The father, or at least the stepfather, of all zombies. Let's listen to my theory on this.
I blame William Shatner for all of this. This is Shatner's fault, and I'm going to tell you why. Because in that episode of Nick of Time, in Twilight Zone, as well as 1963 Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, where we saw the gremlin on the wing of the plane, was so successful that the writer of those episodes wrote another 13 episodes for the Twilight Zone. And his name was Richard Matheson, was a writer that wrote a novel in 1954 called I Am Legend. It wasn't produced. There was no movie was made of it. It went nowhere until Shatner and Twilight Zone made his work come alive in such a way that Hollywood made a movie called, are you ready? The Last Man on Earth. So that's my case, that without Shatner, that movie would not have been made. If that movie would not have been made, Night of the Living Dead would not have been made. But bottom line, without Night of the Living Dead, there's no Walking Dead. Case closed.
How do you like that?
I'm so confused.
That came from an authority, a real authority. We are now playing clips of our own show. What do you think of that?
I don't know how I feel about that. That's either really cool or just incredibly pathetic. I'm not
really
sure.
Cool because we looked at our zombie show, and if you want to listen to that zombie show, you can go back to everythingoldisnewagain.biz, everythingoldisnewagain.biz, and look up our old shows, and the show was on zombies. And what I was trying to present there was the idea that Shatner was the father of zombies. And this Richard Matheson was a pawn, if you will. He was the one that wrote the original novel about zombies, the original, then the movie I Am Legend.
All right, and I was saying that it didn't matter who was in the role, William Shatner or some other actor, that it would have been successful regardless.
Exactly.
And shot down your theory.
I got shot you down, but I have to say I may amend it a little bit to say that I think that Shatner is the stepfather of the zombie genre.
What does that mean?
Because Richard Matheson wrote all this stuff, so shouldn't he be the father of all things zombie?
So William Shatner married somebody?
Well, they're
became the
in-laws in
stepfather?
some way, I guess. I don't know.
So what did this have to do with Matheson and Little People?
Well, that's the point. I'm just trying to introduce who Matheson is now.
Right,
you know
I'm
who he
encouraging
is.
you to get to the point.
I'm going to show you that he's the father of the modern take on the shrinking or the small resizing of individuals. His movie, The Incredible Shrinking Man, was a huge hit.
Orson Welles speaking.
Listen to this.
I just saw the impossible happen before my astounded eyes. I saw a man grow smaller and smaller day by day. I saw the loneliest and most frightened creature on earth living a nightmare in a world of giants. The Incredible Shrinking Man.
When this movie came out, I'm telling you, it was a phenomenon.
It was before your time, though.
It was a phenomenon. And I'll when you get Orson Welles, who 20 years before this movie did the whole thing with Citizen Kane, and before that he did the business of, what did he do with the radio, remember? The War of the Worlds?
Invented it?
No, the War of the Worlds, and he got all involved with that. He was an icon, and he was standing up for and talking about Richard Matheson's movie, The Incredible Shrinking Man. And did you ever see this movie? If you haven't.
No, I have not.
You got to see this.
All right.
It's tremendous.
Is it on Netflix?
It is. It is a tremendous movie. You'll get a kick out of it. How does it psychologically affect you to get smaller and smaller and smaller? And the guy, he never stopped getting small. End of the movie, he realized that he was going to become microscopic and continue to get small, and he just finally came to grips with that and said, you know what?
Well, don't give away the end of the movie, please.
You're right, because you're going to go see that. So I'll leave it there, but I'll also say there's there's a Matheson, this is, again, Richard Matheson connection. He loved the small people stuff. He went into Twilight Zone. He wrote the episode in 1961 called Invaders. Remember when the lady was in this cabin and these little people were walking around and she was getting shocked by them?
And you found out they were actually...
What? I'm sorry? Hold on.
Your next stop, the Twilight Zone. Come in, Central Control. The ship's destroyed. Incredible race of giants here. Too powerful. Stay away.
And then you focus on the last thing that she was beating up or destroying. What was it? Do you remember?
It was like an American flag or space capsule.
It was an American, like, flying saucer kind of. It said actually said U.S. Air Force.
U.S. Air Force.
And so these little people that all along you thought, from the perspective of the Twilight Zone, were
So what was
invaders.
Richard Matheson's fetish with little people exactly?
It's a very good question. I really don't know. But he was very involved.
And what is your fetish with the little people genre?
Well, you know why I like the little people? Because I like Richard Matheson, because I like also William Shatner. And there's a connection between Shatner and Richard Matheson. You ready to hear it?
They were stepbrothers.
No, Shatner starred in Star Trek. Richard Matheson wrote the classic episode called Enemy Within. Classic. Where Kirk split into two people, one good
and one evil.
Due to the malfunction of the ship's transporter, an unexplained duplicate of myself exists.
What can I do for you, Jim?
I said give me the brandy.
You started hurting me. I had to fight you.
It wasn't me.
It was you, sir.
I got a clerk. I got a clerk.
I finally got a reason to play that clip. I love Shatner's overacting like that. Isn't that great?
It sounded like you after we do all these shows. I said, give me the brandy.
I said, after the show? I say before, during, and after. What are you talking about? Where do you think I get these ideas from?
That's true.
I mean, that Shatner can act, huh? What do you think? I've got the gag! Anyway, that's my man.
He was playing anger.
He was playing
an angry Kirk.
He does a better job than Lily Tomlin does. I mean, listen to this. Poor thing.
This is the story of Pat Kramer.
You are shrinking.
As long as you have on this ring, nothing's changed between us.
The
Incredible Shrinking Woman. And that's Lily Tomlin, and she has a fascination with all things shrinking as a woman, because she's becoming a shrunken individual. And that's written by Richard Matheson. Now, the original was very successful, The Incredible Shrinking Man. The Incredible Shrinking Woman was absolutely, unbelievably horrible. It was something that was not successful. It's the last time that Richard Matheson got involved with this genre.
Oh, so his whole fetish just sort of shrank out of existence.
There you go. Perfect ending. Number 11, if you can, Mike. Go out with this.
Due to the malfunction of the ship's transporter, an unexplained duplicate of myself exists.
Listen to this guy go.
What can I do for you, Jim?
I said give me the brandy.
Give me the brandy. Hurting me. I had to fight you.
It wasn't me.
It was you, sir.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show, with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Then Spock's theory is right. We're contracting.
And it is accelerating.
How long can it keep on?
Ad infinitum, perhaps.
There you go, Mr. Spock himself discussing some of the theory behind getting small or resizing. So some of these resizing stories, the people stay at one size. They get down to like 1/6. It's usually the measurement. 1/6 of your usual height.
Is that the international standard?
That's the international standard.
Okay.
And then Other times, like in Ant-Man, you just continue, and we just heard there in Star Trek, the animated series, you continue and continue to get small. You never stop getting small. So that would be a problem.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Not just getting small, but the
continuing to get small. But now we're taking
it's physically impossible. They can never. You
can't
never
do any of this.
No.
It's not real.
You can't. You'd have to shrink your atoms, and it would just defy the laws of physics.
You can't shrink the distance between your atoms in your body and get
You
smaller.
can't shrink the size of an atom.
Right.
If you can't shrink the size of an atom, then
atoms are pretty small.
Yeah. But for you to be that small and maintain the number of atoms in your body, you can't.
You can't shrink
It just
them.
can't happen.
Why can't you shrink them?
Why can't you shrink atoms? Because it would go against everything we know about physics.
We could change the laws of physics. Einstein did.
He changed the laws of physics?
Well, yeah, he developed new theories and about time travel and all that.
He didn't change the laws of physics. He
E equals MC squared defined the laws of physics.
But this would actually be changing.
All right. Well, I think
but maybe 100 years from now they'll figure it out.
Bottom line, in science fiction, all things are possible. Exactly, just like the Fantastic Voyage.
Off on a fantastic voyage, actually entering inside the human body, exploring an unknown universe, unknown dangers. If you thought it was too late to discover something entirely new on the screen, Fantastic Voyage will be a stunning experience. For you are going where no man or camera has ventured before.
Oh,
but surprisingly, a woman had ventured there. But but no man or camera had.
No
that was
man or
that was the main point.
And the woman, by the way, was Raquel Welch.
And what a woman she was.
And Donald Pleasance. Yeah, exactly. That was some movie. Did you ever see that one?
No.
Rent it. You're going to love what Fantastic
What
Voyage.
should I see first, Fantastic Voyage or The Incredible Shrinking?
Fantastic
what
Voyage.
What was the other one?
Shrinking Man. Or Woman. Don't see Woman. Incredible Shrinking Man, I would see. That's a good one.
And where does the puppet people fit on this list?
Actually, you would love that because of your scenario of shrinking down celebrities and having them perform. Puppet people, they do that. He makes them put on a play.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you would enjoy
Excellent.
that one.
Excellent.
You would empathize with the antagonist of the show.
Right.
So I don't know if I'd ever see you again, but you can get involved. Well, listen, Fantastic Voyage
I don't know what that
Fantastic
means,
Voyage,
okay.
all that. Well,
I would shrink? Is that what you mean?
You'd be
upset at you?
I don't know. I think your enemies would come back out. In other words, the little men, the little people that you made little, they would have a little vendetta against you.
Like a riot.
Yeah.
Like an insurgence.
Like the Spartacus of little people. And they would really, you'd be like Gulliver's Travels. They tie you down to your bed and you'd never be able to get out to perform the show.
That wouldn't be good at all.
Yeah, you could do it by phone. If they let you put the phone up to your head, you could do the show that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I want to talk about Fantastic
talking about?
Voyage because it's science
right.
fiction. They shrunk people
They
down
shrunk
to solve a problem inside someone's body. Spielberg took the exact idea, did the exact same thing with Inner Space in 1987.
Lieutenant Pendleton is about to be miniaturized, placed into this needle, and then injected inside Jack Putter.
I'm not a man.
Hello, can you hear me?
I'm possessed!
Now, Jack's got twice the problems. Give yourself a shot of adventure. Inner Space.
There you go. 1987, of course, that was a big hit with...
Was it?
Yeah.
No, seriously,
yeah,
it was?
Steven Spielberg took that one upon him, and Dennis Quaid and Martin Short. It made Martin Short more of a household name a little bit. It was pretty successful.
No pun intended there.
Right. Exactly. Martin Short.
Right.
Was
Little
in a
people.
movie. But he's not the one that got short. That's the problem.
But he shrunk.
No, Dennis Quaid shrunk and went inside Martin Short and gave him the courage to do things and all that. So, I mean, we're using it's nice when we're using the resizing of the human being for goodness instead of evil, you see.
Yes.
So we're changing our tactic a little bit.
What about for comedic purposes?
Well, then we had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And that was.
Did you get the machine to work?
A few more bucks to get out. Then something quite unexpected happened.
Where are the kids?
It shrunk the kids.
Diane, I got something real important to tell you.
Are you trying to tell me the machine works? Do the kids know?
Well, yeah, the kids know.
That's great.
It's not that great.
Why?
I shrunk the kids.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, didn't he blow up the kids later on?
He sure did. We'll talk about that next week on Everything Old is New Again when we talk about resizing and things getting giant. In the meantime, we're talking about things getting small. And the question to you now is, after you've heard this change using the science fiction genre to make things small, is it something, do you see the fascination? Are you coming on board? Is there any fascination at all? Is this topic something that you want to move off from? Have you seen any of these movies? Will you ever see any of these movies? Will you answer any of those questions?
Yes, I'll answer the ones I remember, because you reeled off a lot right there. But yeah, it's enjoyable to watch people getting smaller. When I was a kid, I used to dream about having little men, like actual living. That's what I really wanted, to play hockey or to. Just watch them.
Real men. Real
people. Right. I mean, anonymous people, not anyone I knew in particular, but to me, that would be my ideal toy. And now that I'm older, as I mentioned before, having a rock band or a group of really good actors just perform like pets.
You can put them in your pocket and take them to wherever you want.
Yeah, say, hey, check it out, man. This is Jerry
Zeppelin.
This is Led Zeppelin. Here they go. And I obviously you need a lot of amplification because you probably can't. As loud as Led Zeppelin, used to be, it would be hard to hear them.
What would be the motivation of these little people then to perform for you? I guess the fear factor.
I'm keeping them alive. I'm keeping them safe.
But they're really not going to be happy.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I'll be, and that's the point.
That's what they
but what?
That's the fascination. I would like to be little like that and be like a fly on the wall.
You'd like to be little.
I would like to be little but be able to get big again like Ant-Man and be a fly on the wall, listen to people talk about me.
But how would you, first of all, let's say you were able to shrink
you.
Someone was able to shrink you, right?
Like Ant-Man. You could do it.
So, first of all, you'd have to prepare, right? Because otherwise you need food, you need clothes, right?
I wouldn't go that long. I would go for an hour or two.
Okay. And what if you encounter a rodent or a bird? What? Isn't it?
I would just
dangerous.
press the button. I would get big again.
There'd be a button you'd press.
Exactly.
I see. So the button would shrink with you.
No, it is. That's the horrifying part of it. Is if you are shrunk down like the Incredible Shrinking Man, and you got nothing. In fact, you're wearing a tissue because there's nothing that fits you, and you have no way of defending yourself or getting bigger. That ant, or even that spider, or that cat. I mean, you got some problems.
I know. I would never want to become smaller.
Well, that's why that's horrifying. Horrifying. But when you turn to science fiction and you're able to go in and solve a problem inside somebody's body, do a little surgery, and a sleeve through the eye duct or whatever it might be, that was what happened in Fantastic Voyage, you'd feel like you really was successful and did something nice.
Well, the fact that you just were shrunk to microscopic size, I think, is pretty.
But then it's the problem.
Crazy.
Here's the problem: you got to shrink to microscopic size. That's not enough. You then got to use a scalpel on the exact part of the person's body to solve their problem that's inside the body. If you do that wrong and you become large again, now you got problems because you're not paying your bill.
What if you became large inside the person's body? That would.
Well, that would be like Alien. You come right out the guy's stomach, right? A lot of problems. I don't know. Talk about Animal House when we get back. What relation this has to the Animal House has to this whole topic of resizing to a small Ant-Man size.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Okay, what is happening now, Jay? Well, we're going to return to Everything Old is New Again with Doug and Dave. Oh, okay. I got nothing else better to do.
So that means that our whole solar system could be like one tiny atom in the fingernail of some other giant being. Oh, this is too much. That means that one tiny atom in my fingernail could be
one tiny atom. It kind of got cut off there, but we're at Everything Old is New Again, and we're taking a look at the resizing. If you look at Animal House, they remember that quote where they're with Donald Sutherland talking about, think about the resizing issue, and so that's taking it to the nth degree, but that's our connection with Animal House. It's in the lexicon. Even in Animal House, they spoke about resizing of people or even whole worlds.
Right.
Even Dr. Seuss did that with the Lorax.
That's right.
Not the Lorax.
No,
what was it?
the
Horton Hears a Who.
Horton Hears a Who.
Think about it. So it's not a unique idea.
We are here. Yeah.
Ah, yes, indeed.
Okay. No, I didn't want to break your train of thought.
What I'm trying to say is that we're taking this from horror, the horror of it all being so small, to the science fiction, to trying to help people, to now we're going to look at the modern evaluation and use of the little people, the shrunken Ant-Man,
Have you ever heard
superheroes.
Have you ever heard the word overanalyze?
Yes, I have. My wife says that all the time.
You've taken that to a new level.
This is what it's all about. It's taking a look at things that no one else looks at and putting it under a microscope.
There you go. You're shrinking down the subject of making things smaller.
You got what I had
Didn't
to
think
say.
it could happen.
See that? Let's listen to Ant-Man, what he's all about.
Everyone deserves a shot at redemption. Do you?
Absolutely. My days of breaking into places and stealing stuff are over. What do you want me to do?
I want you to break into a place and steal some stuff.
Makes sense.
When you're small, you have superhuman strength. You're like a bullet.
There you go. Now, he has the advantage of being, like a bullet, but really strong when he's small because he retains the strength of what he was when he's, 6 foot tall. So that's different than what we've all seen before to date. And I think Ant-Man works. I love Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man works because of Paul Rudd's sense of humor. No? What do you think?
Yeah, that helped. I think it helped. But I think overall it was a good movie, too.
And it's fun, the science fiction part of it, the looking, the special effects.
Right.
And it appeals to all.
Special effects
young and
definitely
old. And, when you're in the bathtub and the water's, flowing around everywhere, and when he's attacking that computer place, wherever the heck it was, this big warehouse, and he's with the ants and working with the ants. Just really cool, really fun stuff. That's getting small and using the power you have for good, for all things good. I think that is a good use of the resizing technique. What do you say?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Hey, Ant-Man.
Do you have more clips? You have more clips?
I have an Ant-Man Civil War clip you're going to love.
Mr. Lang, it's an honor. I'm shaking your hand too long. Wow, this is awesome. Look, I want to say, I know you know a lot of super people, so thanks for thanking of me.
There you go. And that's, again, some of the lightheartedness that Paul Rudd brings to this. But remember, Ant-Man can get big again at basically any time.
Yes.
The most horrifying part of that movie, if you remember, now not Civil War, but the original, Ant-Man, was when he was getting small, and the idea was you're not going to stop getting small.
Right.
That was horrifying.
Yeah.
Right?
That was horrifying.
And that's where they developed the idea that they're going to do a sequel with The Wasp, which is going to be, again, Paul Rudd acting and co-writing it. Michael Douglas will be in it, and Evangeline Lilly will
Evangeline Lilly from Lost.
Yes, yeah. And she's going to be the Wasp. So what do you think? Are you looking forward to that? The next generation, now the third movie with the Ant-Man in it.
Not if it means we're doing another show on this in a year. No. The propagation of this
well,
genre
we could add
not...
into that the Atom and talk about Legends of Tomorrow, that TV show, and how that's a DC character that is a mix between Ant-Man and Iron Man, and he gets just as small as Ant-Man, and they have some fun with that character.
All right.
So with the superhero genre, it's okay because they can get big again.
They can get bigger again.
So now we get to the point of what do you think? Where would you be if this happened to you? Where are you on this?
If I was shrunk?
Yeah. How would you
First
get
of all,
to the house? What would you do?
I'd be in big trouble because I have 2 cats, and they would definitely be after me. And not to be nice to me, which they are now, that they recognize me, but as a little person, they would eat me. They would kill me. Not eat me, maybe, but, smack me around and throw me until I was dead. So that would be horrifying.
So these cats that are so, friendly to you and nice right now,
I think would look at me very differently.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
As like an insect or something.
You're
and
now
just
lower on the food chain.
They would destroy me.
Wow. That was investigated with the Land of the Giants TV show in the 60s and 70s. It was 1968 to 70. Irwin Allen, same guy that did Lost in Space did Land of the Giants.
A spaceship out of control, headed for oblivion. An oblivion in a nightmare environment. 7 people must learn to survive, to live a miniature existence in a land of fantastic proportions. Land of the Giants.
So I think that show is time now to reboot Land of the Giants. If you remember
you're
that
off the
show.
shrinking, you're off the shrinking now.
Well, remember now, Land of the Giants, that spaceship, they didn't shrink, but they went to a planet that was 10 times the size of Earth, and the people were 10 times the size of them.
Oh, that's right. They weren't big. They were small, too.
They were
okay,
right. They didn't shrink, but they were small.
They were in a land of giants. Okay.
Exactly. So the question is, do you think it's time to reboot? And if so, what would you do with the series Land of the Giants? Or do you think it's just a dead genre?
No, I mean, it's a lot of movies that have come out have been very successful about little people. I don't know if we've answered the question as to why that is. I don't think we have answered
No, I don't think there is an answer.
I don't either. It's one of those mysteries of life. But I think it would do very well, and I'm surprised they haven't done it yet.
So this is what I say. I say we get together with Terry Winter, our friend from The Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire, present to him that it is now time to redo Land of the Giants.
And that it was entirely my idea. I like where this is going.
Oh, well,
okay.
It's on the show. We can listen back to the show and hear where it came from. But if you want to say it's your idea, I don't mind, as long as we split the paychecks 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. I mean, I think it's especially the special effects the way they are today, especially the success of Ant-Man. I think this is a genre that people are ready to see something new, though. You got to see something new with it. The special effects will do it.
So you're just rebooting Land of the Giants. How is that new?
Rebooting it in a different way, different scenario, where the little people have a goal to get off this planet. They got to start stealing things from big people, not just running away from the giants, but they have to have an agenda. You know, the Land of the Giants series, there was no real agenda. They were just kind of hiding from all the big people, who were capturing
They had nowhere to
them.
go. They had no hope, basically.
Right. This will be, they've got a plan. They've got to put something together. You can do it as a mini-series or something like that and see